I just say I have huge sympathy for your argument there. You could waste that 65 million very easily by defending judicial review cases. So it's really important you do get that process correct. Can I talk to examine your relationship with the Home Office? Just generally, what is the relationship with the Home Office like at this stage?
Well, they're obviously the sponsor department. There are other departments that put funds into the inquiry, but they're the lead department and put most in. There's a sponsorship team, and some of us, that's the route, that's the docking point for the inquiry. I've worked with the sponsorship team before over at the DFE, so I understand that relationship. The Home Office, I think, are very clear. They wanted to succeed. They respond to our requests when we ask them, especially when, they might be around the pace and timescale, which probably we're working on a different level. And there's a clear reporting and clear communication that's set as part of the terms of reference, both to the Home Secretary, but also to the First Minister in Wales, because obviously this is England and Wales. So it's as I'd expect at this stage, but we are independent.
Okay, let's push you a bit more on that. So Jess Phillips was the political sponsor inquiry.
Yeah.
Jess Phillips had a fraught relationship with victims groups. Early on, we had those difficulties. Jess Phillips, in her resignation letter, has talked about, and I quote, talking about safeguarding generally, progress usually came from threats made by me in light of catastrophic mistakes. And that desire not to have an argument means we rarely make an argument. What was your relationship with Jess Phillips like?
So I was interviewed by the Home Secretary and appointed by the Home Secretary. Clearly she was the person who presented the inquiry on the 9th of December in Parliament. We have had a meeting with Jess Phillips while she was Minister, which was around the terms of reference. And that's what you'd expect with someone who had ministerial line management for this. We have been in touch with new Minister Fleet to say, welcome to the post, this is what we're doing, and we look forward to working with you, which again is very standard. So there's nothing I detect in any of those which I would not think was standard. And
the continuity, sort of institutional continuity between Jess Phillips and Natalie Fleet, that's all worked seamlessly, has it?
Well, I think Minister Fleet's only been in post a few days, but the Home Secretary is the person who is very, very committed on the record to this. So that's the continuity that I would see as being very important.
And with the Home Secretary, you have annual reviews in the terms of reference. Yeah. Those will be transparent, or will those be in private?
I actually don't know at this stage, because at this stage we apart from the initial discussion, we haven't had further discussions of that. I would imagine there would be some acknowledgement and outcomes from them, but also private within that. I mean, it's part of the terms of reference, and there's also a requirement in the terms of reference to inform the First Minister in Wales. But you would expect that as a sponsor inquiry.
Do you see any danger in those reviews of pressure being put on you as inquiry chair to take certain routes or not?
I honestly don't. The discussion I had with the Home Secretary at appointment was very much recognising my independence and also the independence of the panel. Clearly she was very concerned about how we would work and support and put victim survivors at the centre of this. That was a large concern as part of the conversation, to understand how that would happen. But in my experience so far, everything that I've heard, seen or read very much supports the fact that it's very clear to the Home Office at all levels that we're independent.
I'm sure that's right. And what would be your reaction, though, or what would you do if such pressure was placed on you?
look, we've already started to map out exactly the range of things that need to happen and the focus. We're independent. We're independent for a reason. We've been chosen for a reason, which is about independence. We will follow the focused path we have in terms of cutting to the truth, you know, without fear of favour. We're not concerned with political pressure. We know that our responsibility is to victims and survivors, and we hold that very close in our minds.
I think it's really important as well to kind of stress that, and it's a really good question to probe, because it seems slightly odd, you know, we get set up by government, but we are independent of government. It's how do we almost prove a negative? But I can say for one, no politician is going to certainly, you know, not Home Secretaries or Ministers for Policing or any other ministers say to us, we think this should be your recommendation, you must put this into your report. This is our statutory inquiry. It's led by Anne and us as the panel members. These will be our conclusions and our recommendations, and we're not accountable to the Home Office for what it is that we find or what it is that we conclude. So we do need to keep stressing that, because that's part of the building the trust with victims and survivors in particular. There's a huge mistrust, if I may say so, of politicians, of the political process. And it's quite right. We relish the opportunity to come today to explain what we're doing. But never do we want the victims and survivors that, you know, we're kind of here to speak through, if you like. We never want them to give them the sense that we are in some case guided or accountable by you. And I think the more we talk about this, actually, the better, because it's really important for establishing that kind of trust.
And that's national and local, because we will find things which are, you know, in every aspect uncomfortable, and those uncomfortable truths, and so we're just going to have to face up to those. That feeling of responsibility to victim survivors is what drives us. I'd just say that when I was Children's Commissioner, that was one of those roles where government paid for someone. Again, the docked with the sponsor department into the Department for Education. The role was then independent, and the independence was to scrutinise, amongst other things, government. So that was always a difficult relationship. But again, very clear, in that role, the responsibility was to children. Again, here to victims, survivors, and those children who we hope will prevent having to go through this appalling abuse.
Okay, that's very reassuring. How will you liaise with the Scottish inquiry? What do you envisage how that will work?
Yeah, so we haven't set that up with the chair yet, although there's been an informal discussion. They're just getting going, so it's pretty early days with them. We'll want to very much share their findings and work alongside them, and we will have regular meetings in place. The secretariat teams are meeting. They've got a meeting in the diary at the moment, but we'll want to be in touch, and we'll want to learn from them and hopefully share some of our findings as well.
And there are almost certainly going to be lessons learned in relation to trafficking in terms of cross-border between England, Wales, England and Scotland, Scotland and England.
Thank you.